So guys, welcome to our channel once again. In today's video on our JAMB exam revision series for our biology, we'll be solving these practice questions. We have about 50 questions here to go through, so just ensure to stay here and go through these questions with us. You can feel free to pause the video and try out the question before we provide the answers. So we're going to start with this question. Here's the number one question. It says the function of the redhead in agama lizard is to A. warn predators of the distastefulness, B. attract female lizards for mating purpose, C. conceal and camouflage the animal from predators, D. scare other males from the territory. So guys, the answer to this question is B. It's actually to attract female lizards for mating purpose. So let's quickly look at the next question here. It says, which of the following is not a behavioral adaptation used by social insects? A. flash, B. season, C. cryptic, D. mimicry. So the answer to this question is season. Season is not a behavioral adaptation. So guys, let's check the next question. The question here says, the role of the male adult honeybee is to A. clean the hive, B. mate with the queen, C. care for the young, and D. ventilate the hive. So guys, the actual answer to this question is C. to care for the young. Alright, so question number 4 says, which of the following statements best describes courtship behavior in animals? A. courtship behavior are aggressive interactions between males competing for a female mate. B. courtship behaviors are solely performed by males to establish dominance within a social group. C. courtship behaviors are primarily performed by females to attract males for mating. D. courtship behaviors involve displays and rituals performed by both male and females to attract a mate. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option D. So courtship behavior is performed by both male and female. So let's look at the next question here, and that's question number 5. It says the movement response of a cockroach away from a light source can be described as A. positive phototropism, B. negative phototaxism, C. negative phototropism, and D. positive phototaxism. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option B, which is negative phototaxism. Actually, phototaxism is movement with response to light. So it can be away from the light when it's negative or towards the light when it's positive. But the question says movement response of cockroach away from a light source. So that's a negative phototaxism. So the next question here says, which of the following make up the bee caste? So we have A. queen, drones, and workers, B. soldier and queen, C. queen, workers, and soldiers, D. drones, soldiers, and workers. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option A. In a bee caste, we have queen, drones, and workers. So let's look at the next question right away. So that's question number 7. Question number 7 says, the main distinguishing feature between the soldier termites and other members of the caste are the A. absence of wings, position of big head, and the absence of mandibles. B. absence of wings, position of strong mandibles, and a large head. C. presence of wings, position of a large thorax and a small head. D. presence of wings, position of a small head and large thorax. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, absence of wings, possession of strong mandibles and a large head. So the soldier termite possesses strong mandibles and large head but lacks wings. So the correct answer to this question is option B. So let's go ahead and look at the next question here. So the next question is question number 8, and it says, which of the following is an example of behavioral adaptation in animals? A. Thick fur to insulate against cold temperature. B. Sharp claws for capturing prey. C. Camouflage to blend with surroundings. D. Migration to seek better food source. So, guys, the main thing to watch out for here is the word behavioral. So, actually, the behavioral adaptation here is option D. That's migration to seek better food sources. So the rest are not behavioral adaptations. So take note of that. So the behavioral adaptation here is migration to seek better food sources. So guys, let's look at the next question. The next question here says, in the honey bee colony, the drones are A. Sterile males with well-developed mouth parts. B. Fertile males with reduced mouth parts. C. Sterile males with reduced mouth parts. And D. Fertile males with well-developed mouth parts. So, guys, the correct answer to this question is option B. That's fertile males with reduced mouth parts. Actually, the fertile males are the drones in the bee colony. They have reduced mouth parts. So that's it for that question. So let's look at the next question. That's question number 9. It says, an example of a fish that estivates is, already you should know this one, that's the lungfish. So lungfish is a fish that estivates. So you know what the estivation is all about. When animals actually reduce their metabolic activities, they are in a state of inactivity due to unfavorable weather conditions. Usually when there is a harsh condition, when there is a very hot and dry condition, they actually estivate. So you should always remember that estivation is different from hibernation. Hibernation occurs during wet and cold seasons, whereas estivation occurs during dry and hot seasons. So, but they are both periods of inactivity in the animals. Guys, so the correct answer to this question is option A. So let's go ahead and look at the next question. That's question number 11. Question number 11 says, in which of the following group of vertebrates is parental care mostly exhibited? So guys, we have options A. Mammal, B. Aves, C. Amphibians, and D. Reptiles. So the correct answer to this question is option A. Option A, which is mammals. And mammals show the longest parental care, and that's the correct answer to this question. So let's go ahead and look at the next question, and that's question number 12. So question number 12 says, the function of the long-winged reproductive in a termite colony is to A. Participate in swarming, B. Disperse the population, C. Feed the young, and D. Protect the young. So actually the correct answer to this question is option B, and that's to disperse the population. So that's the function of the long-winged reproductive in a termite colony. So take note of that. The next question here is question number 13. It says, animals are said to be gregarious when A. They give an alarm to alert others to show the normal protective behavior of the group when danger threatens. B. They survive adverse conditions of cold weather. C. They transmit information from one individual to another. And D. They are of the same species moving together in a group. So guys, the answer to this question is option D. Animals that are gregarious move together in a group. So that's the correct answer to this question. So let's go ahead and check the next question here. It says, group instinct or social behavior is not displayed in A. Chickens, B. Soldier ants, C. Weaver birds, and D. Bees. So group instinct is not displayed in chickens. Chickens might move in group, but they don't have these group instincts or social behavior. So it's only when during the childhood stage, when there is still parental care, they might move in group with the hen. But obviously, when they grow, this group instinct does not exist. So soldier termites will always socialize and move in groups. So they have these group instincts. Weaver birds also do the same, and bees also do the same. They have their group instincts and therefore move in group. So, but in chickens do not exhibit this behavior. So the correct answer to this question is option A. That's chickens. Let's look at the next questions, guys. The next question is question number 15, and it says, a feature of the caste system in bees and termites is that A. the kings are bigger than the queens, B. only workers perform duties, C. the workers are sterile, and D. nuptial flight is performed by all members. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option C. The workers are sterile. So in a bee caste system, the workers are sterile, and that's the correct answer to this question. So let's look at the next question, guys. That's question number 16. It says, chewing the cud is an adaptation peculiar to A. rodents, B. herbivores, C. omnivores, and D. non-ruminants. Actually, we should know the answer to this question. Herbivores are the animals that chew cuds. So this feature is peculiar to herbivores. So option D is the correct answer. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 17. It says, dash is a form of behavior in which a member of a species marks out a fixed area and defend it against intruders of the same species. A. seasonal migration, B. display, C. pairing, D. territoriality. So guys, the right answer to this question is option D, and that's territoriality. So let's look at the next question immediately. We have question number 18, and it says, the reproductive communication between males and females of a species that ends in sexual union is called, I know you already know the answer to this question, and that's courtship. So guys, let's quickly move on to the next question. That's question number 19, and it says, the red coloration on the head of a male lizard helps it to A. camouflage in the environment, B. mark its territory, C. secure its mate, and D. defend itself. So the answer to this question is option C, and that's to secure its mate. The next question is question number 20. It says, a termite with a relatively large head and powerful jaw is likely to be a, option A says soldier, option B reproductive, C queen, and D king. So guys, the answer to this question is option A. The soldier termite has a large head and powerful jaws, but it lacks wings. So that's the feature of the soldier. So guys, question number 21 says, The division of labor in social insects is an example of A. Physiological adaptation, B. Commensalism, C. Structural adaptation, D. Behavioral adaptation. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's behavioral adaptation. So let's take note of that. Option D is the right answer to this question, behavioral adaptation. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 22. It says behavioral adaptation for dealing with a hot climate could include A. Feeding during the hottest part of the day, B. Hibernating during the hottest part of the day, C. Large scales on the back of the lizard, and D. A small kidney to conserve water. Now, if you look at this question and the options closely, there's no option that best suits the answer to this question aside hibernating during the hottest part of the day. Actually, but hibernating occurs during cold and wet seasons. So, but then it should have been estivating, but nonetheless, hibernating means a period of inactivity. So we'll go with the option B, and that's hibernating during the hottest part of the day, because they have to be inactive during the hot part of the day in order for them to conserve water and reduce metabolic activity. So guys, the next question here is question number 23. It says, which of the following is a behavioral adaptation that protects prey from predators? So option A says secreting irritating fluid, B says hibernation, C is dormancy, and D is shedding of leaves. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option A, and that's secreting irritating fluid. So usually preys secrete irritating fluid in order to protect themselves from predators. So the option A is actually the correct option here. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 24. It says a similar feature of the caste system of bees and termites is that the kings are bigger than the queens. B. Only workers perform duties. C. Nuptial flight is performed by all members. And then D. The workers are sterile. So guys, we'll go with the option D here. The workers are sterile. And that's the correct answer to this question. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 25. It says the behavioral adaptation in social insects could best be described as A. Commensalism, B. Parasitism, C. Saprophytism, D. Symbiosis. So guys, it's a symbiotic relationship here for social insects because they all gain from the other in one way or the other. So it's a symbiotic relationship. So that's option D here for question number 25. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 26. It says, in a group of male agama lizards, the one with the brightest head color is the A. youngest, B. largest, C. dominant, D. oldest. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option C, and that's dominant. So the one with the brightest head is the dominant one. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 27. It says a phenomenon by which an animal goes into a state of dormancy during the dry season is called A. incubation, B. hibernation, C. deactivation, D. estivation. So during the dry season, animals estivate, and that's a state of dormancy in the animals during this dry season so that they can reduce metabolic activities. So in this situation, that's estivation. So we'll go with option D. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option D, estivation. So the next question here says, complex social behavior and organization are found mostly in A. Birds, B. Reptiles, C. Insects, and D. Mammals. So actually the correct answer to this question is option D, and that's mammals. Mammals actually have a complex social behavior and organization. So the correct answer to this question is option D. So guys, let's look at the next question immediately. We have question number 29. It says, the organs that will be most useful to giant African rats in finding their way in underground habitats are the A. Nostrils, B. Tails, C. Vibrissae, and D. Eyes. So guys, in the underground habitat, there is not enough light system, so the eyes will not be so useful for these African giant rats to find their way in these habitats. They use the vibrissae, which actually has a tactile sense. So this vibrissae helps them to actually sense their environment so well, because it's very sensitive, and so they can actually use it for finding their way in these their underground habitats. So option C is the correct option. So let's look at the next question. The next question here is question number 30. It says, animals estivate when the environment in which they live becomes A. Hot and dry, B. Warm and humid, C. Cold and wet, D. Windy and snowy. So guys, we'll go with the first option, which is option A, and it says hot and dry. So guys, animals estivate when the environment in which they live in becomes hot and dry. So let's look at the next question. It says, which of the following is an example of a behavioral adaptation for survival in animals? A. Sharp teeth, B. Camouflage, C. Wings, D. Migration. So guys, for this question, remember, like I told you earlier on, you should watch out for the words behavioral. So behavioral adaptation for survival in animals is not sharp teeth, it's not camouflage, it's not wing, it's migration. So migration here is the correct answer to this question because it's a behavioral adaptation for survival. So guys, let's look at the next question here. Which of the following statements best explains the term extivation? A. Movement of animals over long distance. B. Method of survival adopted by animals under favorable conditions. C. Method of survival adopted by plants during dry season. D. A device for surviving during a period of extreme food and water shortage. So guys, we'll go with the option D, and that's a device for survival during a period of extreme food and water shortage. So it's usually occurs during a very dry season, guys. It occurs during a very dry season, dry and hot season. So in this situation, there is usually food and water shortage, but then it is not for plants and animals, it's specifically for animals. So it's not option C. It's not a method of survival adopted by animals under favorable condition, and it's not a movement. So option A, B, C are not correct. So the correct answer to this question is option D. So take notes of that. So the next question here says, an example of a poikilothermic organism is a, option A says cockroach, option B lizard, option C rabbit, option D bird. So the correct answer to this question is option B. So take note of that. Option B is the correct answer to this question. Lizard is a poikilothermic organism. So the next question here says, the basking of agama lizard in the sun is to A, raise their body temperature to become active, B, change the color of their skin, C, fight to defend their territories, D, attract the female for courtship? So guys, the correct answer to this question is option A. And why is it so? Actually, the Agama lizard basks in the sun during the early hours of the afternoon period, like towards late periods of the morning to early hours of the afternoon period, and that's to actually raise their body temperature, because do not maintain the same temperature over different weather conditions. So they will have to depend on the environment temperature in order to maintain their body temperature. So in that case, they will have to bask in the sun during this period in order to elevate their body temperature to become active. So because lizards are not homeothermic organisms, so they cannot maintain the same temperature over a varied state of environmental conditions. So they'll have to actually bask in the sun in order for them to elevate their temperature and become active. So guys, let's look at the next question here. The next question here is question 35, and it says, amoeba moves by means of A. Pseudopodia, B. Spore, C. Flagella, and D. Seta. So guys, the correct answer to this question is pseudopodia. Pseudopodia enables the amoeba to make movements, and that's the correct answer. So the next question here says, courtship behavior in animals may include all the following except A. Dancing of the worker bee, B. Howling of a dog, C. Basking in the sun by a lizard, and D. Croaking of a toad. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option C, and that's basking in the sun by a lizard. Basking in the sun by a lizard is not a courtship behavior. Rather, it's a way of elevating their body temperature. So it's not a courtship behavior. So let's look at the next question. That's question 37. It says, viruses differ from all forms of life because they A. have thick cell wall, B. feed on waste products of other organisms, C. require other living cells to multiply, and D. cause infectious disease. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option C, require other living cells to multiply. So viruses do not assume a living state when they are outside the body. They only assume a living state when they are inside a cell. So they require other cells for them to assume a living state and exhibit the characteristics of living things. So when they are outside any living cell, they assume the states of crystals, so they don't assume the state of living things. So they actually require a living cell in order for them to multiply or assume the characteristics of living things. So option C is the correct one. Take it. So next question here, question number 28 says, the insect trapping movement of the leaves of the Venus flytrap is a behavioral adaptation for A. surviving adverse weather condition, B. obtaining food, C. support, D. dormancy. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option B. It's a method of obtaining food. It's a behavioral adaptation for obtaining food. So that's option B. So guys, the next question here, that's question 39, says, use the diagram below to answer the question that follows. So you see the diagram here. You see on the vertical axis, we have number of cockroaches, and then on the horizontal axis, we have days. So we have 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500 cockroaches, whereas for the days, we have 0 to 4 to 14 days. So they said, at which temperature will cockroaches not survive after 10 days. So you see the graph here, the different curves on the graphs stand for different temperatures. So you see the temperature here, you see that the temperature at 15 degree has a curve that falls after day 10. So you see how the curve falls down to 0 after day 10. So the correct option here will be option A, and that's 15 degrees Celsius. So guys, take note of that. That's the correct answer to this question. So the next question, question 40, says the period of inactivity seen in some animals during long period of heat or drought is A. Hibernation, B. Migration, C. Adaptation, D. Estivation. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option D, and that's estivation. We've talked about this several times. So the next question here is question number 41, and it says Teniasolium can be found in A. Cow, B. Dog, C. Pig, and D. Goat. So Teniasolium can be found in the pig. So take note of that. That's the correct answer to this question. That's option C. So the next question here says the loud cry made by brooding hen when a predator is around is meant to A. Advertise the boundaries of its territory to intruders, B. Warn its chicks and other chickens of impending danger, C. Alert the poultry attendants, and D. Attracts cogs to come and fight the predator. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option B. Warn each chick and other chickens of impending danger. So that's the reason it makes the loud cry when there is a predator. So guys, let's look at the next question here. It says the three classes in a termitarium are A. Soldiers, workers, and kings, B. Soldiers, queen, and workers, C. Workers, soldiers, and reproductives, D. Kings, queens, and soldiers. So guys, the correct answer here is option C. Workers, soldiers, and reproductives. So let's look at the next question here. That's question number 44. It says when a peacock displays its colorful feathers, it is A. Courting a female, B. Protecting its mate from predators, C. Protecting itself from predators, D. Ready for a fight. So guys, the answer to this question is option A, and that's courting a female. So the next question here says which of the following is not an example of social insects? A. Termites, B. Bee, C. Mealybug, and D. Wasps. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option C. Mealybug is not a social insect. So the next question here is question number 46. It says in fishes, the brooders return to their parents' mouths for A. Feeding, B. Respiration, C. Protection, and D. Breeding. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option C, and that's protection. The brooders actually return to their parents' mouth for protection. So the next question, guys, here is question number 47. It says which of the following pairs of organisms exist as colonies? So we have Chlamydomonas and amoeba, Pandorina and volvulus, Obelia and Euglena, Hydra and Spirogyra. So in the forms in which cells exist, you know that as a colony, organisms that exist as a colony include the Pandorina, the Euglena, the volvulus, and the rest of them. So guys, Pandorina and volvulus here is the correct answer to this question. Aside this, you also have the Euglena, so you can take note of that. That's the correct answer to this question. That's option B. So guys, let's look at the next question. The next question here is question number 48. It says, an insect whose economic importance is both harmful and beneficial is the A, tsetse, B, butterfly, C, blackfly, and D, mosquito. Actually, the correct answer to this question is option B, and that's butterfly. So butterfly has an economic importance that is both harmful and beneficial. So I'll explain in this way. The butterfly helps in crop pollination, thereby increasing crop yield. So that's a positive one, and it's a beneficial economic importance. Whereas the harmful economic importance is seen in its caterpillar. So the caterpillar of a butterfly actually destroys crops. It actually destroys the leaves of crops, thereby reducing photosynthesis. So if photosynthesis is reduced, that means crop yield in essence is also reduced. So that's a harmful economic importance. So butterfly is the correct option here. That's option B. So let's go again. The next question here is, use the diagram below to answer the question that follows. The optimal temperature for breeding cockroach is A, 24 degrees Celsius, B, 19 degrees Celsius, C, 15 degrees Celsius, and D, 33 degrees Celsius. So if we look at the different curves here, they have temperatures aligned with them. The first curve here is 33 degrees Celsius. The second curve here is 24 degrees Celsius. The third curve here is 15 degrees Celsius. And the last curve here is 15 degrees Celsius. But when you look at the curve of the 24 degrees Celsius, you realize that it peaks up to the highest, and that's 500 cockroaches. So you see that 24 degrees Celsius is actually the optimum temperature for breeding the cockroaches because it produces the highest yield of cockroaches. So option A is the right answer to this question, and that's 24 degrees Celsius. So guys, let's consider the last question for this lesson, and that's question number 50. It says, the only caste in the termite colony whose members can feed themselves are the A, soldiers, B, workers, C, reproductives, D, nymphs. So guys, the correct answer to this question is the workers. Actually, the workers are responsible for gathering food and feeding the rest of the members of the colony. So the workers can do this job and also feed themselves. So the right answer to this question, guys, is option B, and that's the workers. So guys, we'll end the class here. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you are still new to this channel. Also, if you have any question regarding this lesson, feel free to drop your question on the comment section below, and we'll ensure to give you a response. Also, try to share this video with your friends so that you can enable us gain more views. See you in the next class, and thank you for watching this video.